You're very welcome today to the NOAC Good Practice in Local Government event. My name is Noeline McHugh. I'm the Assistant Chief Executive in the Local Government Management Agency, and I have responsibility for programme management and innovation. Just a few housekeeping notes as advised in the invitation issued to you all. The event is being recorded. All attendees are on mute and they're not on camera. But we would ask you to participate throughout the morning in the event by putting questions into the chat box, which we will deal with in the Q&A sessions. I'd like to introduce our first speaker. I worked with the Minister as a councillor many years ago in Fingal. I follow him on Twitter. I know how busy he is in his new role, and I'm delighted he's taken the time today in his busy schedule to deliver the welcoming address for this event. So I'll hand over now to Minister Darragh O'Brien. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Noeline. Can you hear me okay, everybody? And Noeline, it's probably fitting that you're introducing me. You used to, very nice introduction. Wasn't always that way in council meetings when you kept me in line when I was a young councillor back then in Fingal. But it's great to see you and great to see everybody. And can I just say, I really am delighted, and thanks to Michael McCarthy, who has crossed the Rubicon from elected politics into real politics and local government service. And good to see you, Michael. And as you know, was chair of NOAC. But I'm really pleased to open the event here today in a stranger type of setting, obviously doing it remotely. And I've met many of you remotely over the last few months, and that's the reality that we're living in. I see Tom Enright there. I was talking to Tom just and others there last week, but I do hope in the next couple of weeks to be getting around to meet each of you. And it is very fitting today that's to be looking at areas of good practice in our local authorities in a time when you are all really being asked to deliver in a way that has never been done before. It is a large challenge, but however large that is, it's always comforting to our citizens to know that the response will be wholesome and committed. And the commitment of local government has really been shown over the last number of months since the start of the pandemic in March. I understand from talking to Michael that this is the third event of this kind and that the feedback from previous seminars was really positive, as is evidenced by the numbers attending here virtually today. I think it's also noteworthy that this is a partnership event between NOAC and the CCMA. And I'd therefore like to thank again NOAC, its chairman, Michael McCarthy, and the members of NOAC present here today, and indeed, and equally, Tim Lucy, chair of the CCMA, and the NOAC Secretariat, and the LGMA, indeed, who have organised this event here this morning. I probably dragged you all away from TV sets and radio sets listening to what's happening over in the United States at the moment, where I'm sure there's a NOAC over there who's wondering how they're going to audit the election and the running of the election over there. But my final thanks today go to all here who took the time to share their experiences and present the projects at this Good Practice seminar. You'll know this, but NOAC was established in 2014 under the Local Government Reform Act to provide independent oversight of the local government sector. It does have an important statutory role to see that the service delivery plan of our local authorities shall take account of best practice in service delivery. Access to good quality service is often taken for granted, and it must be acknowledged that local authorities have undergone a period of substantial and sustained change in recent years, and very successfully, I might add, with the additional roles and responsibilities that local authorities, yourselves and your staff have taken on. And particularly this year, it's acute when you see the community call, which I'll turn to in a moment. But I think our citizens have really seen at a level never seen before the importance of our local authorities and local government being central to what happens in our communities. It is significant to note, and I've actually gone through some of this with Michael, the high regard citizens hold for local authorities in the 3-year satisfaction survey carried out by NOAC since 2018. The 3 separate reports and the summary infographic report 2018 to 2020, published just in September and available on the website, I know, really do make for interesting reading. Your ability to adapt to change and to continue to deliver excellent service is a challenge facing the sector. And this year, more than ever, it is very evident, as I've said earlier on. Whatever the crisis, be it storms, severe weather, which we're seeing more and more, and now COVID-19, local government is absolutely right at the centre of that response and of the community response. And I'm delighted that we are really fortunate here today to have a selection of just some of the really striking examples of initiatives that are interesting, varied, and really worth showcasing. And reassuringly, I'm glad to note that these are only a sample of many examples of good practice in the local government sector all across the 26 counties of the Republic. My department is working very closely with county and city managers in the CCMA to identify various funding pressures on the sector on a sector-wide basis. And you know that I've spoken to many of you individually, and we're working very hard at a central government level to make sure that there's no funding deficits this year, and working into, I know your budgets are coming up as well and your budgetary meetings, but my colleagues in government, Taoiseach and Minister Michael McGrath, have been very supportive in that regard. So I'm hoping to bring some resolutions that very, very shortly. We're at an advanced stage here. This year will see major challenges and pressures that have come to bear due to the substantial loss of income that I've just mentioned, and the additional costs that have arisen because of the additional work you and your staff are undertaking. Of course, all such issues have to be considered within the parameters of the national and fiscal budgetary situation and competing priorities presenting themselves at a wider government level. But I'm conscious of the increasing demands, I know it, on the local government sector, and the challenge is to continue to ensure these are reflected as part of the wider budgetary discussions. And I'm advancing that, as I said earlier on. Against a backdrop of rising unemployment and recession, it is the responsibility of national governments to implement economic strategies that protect the whole nation. And I know you're acutely aware of that also. All of you will be familiar with the performance indicator tables that NOAC produce. And I think you'll find it interesting to hear from Wexford County Council on how their focus on key performance indicators benefited economic and community development throughout the county. Offaly County Council will then follow this up on their successful Open Libraries project that provides improved access, use and visibility of the library as a community hub. And Wicklow County Council will talk about the usage of drone technology in Wicklow and proposals to its use with other remote technologies for water rescue. In the second session, we'll learn from DCC about MODUS, a circular economy training program, which will equip SMEs to help reduce waste and carbon emissions while creating opportunities to save money, increase resilience, and boost competitive advantage. Sligo will talk to us about a very important space that local authorities have taken the lead in, and that is climate action. Following on from that, there'll be interesting projects looking at innovative responses local authorities use to deliver its services in the current pandemic crisis. Innovation in this context captures more than technological innovations and can occur across the provision of local authority, internal services and business processes, and the delivery of public services, advice and guidance. The current pandemic, as I'd mentioned, colleagues, has required all public bodies to develop new ways of providing services. As the closest level of government to our citizens, you, local government, you have been challenged to develop and implement innovative solutions to the way it operates in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, it illustrates that most of the challenges identified and they identified subsequent solutions and were implemented and were delivered within local authority structures, whether through existing formal structures or the establishment of ad hoc informal government structures to meet COVID-19 challenges. Today, we'll hear about the Community Call programme in Cork County Council and the cultural response by Limerick City and County. I really do find it reassuring to see so many projects today, and I believe there will be many more that could have been chosen for this seminar. I think it's noteworthy that we have no less than 3 chief executives presenting here at the seminar today, and it's welcome that there is a good representation countrywide, rural and urban, and from large and small local authorities, and that really demonstrates the diverse nature of local government. The approach may teach you something that can help to improve our practices and share that knowledge across the country. The value of this type of seminar is that it provides both an opportunity to learn, to listen to ideas that have been developed, and gives an opportunity to reflect on what might be helpful to you on the ground in your own local authority. I've absolutely no doubt you'll find the seminar constructive, and looking at the programme, that you'll find it motivating and informative. I certainly hope that you get some idea on how to continue to improve service delivery and continue to strive and achieve good practices in all areas. I am really, on a personal level, looking forward to continuing to work with you all very closely and collaboratively with all of you. And it's good to see so many represented here. I'm a firm supporter of local government. I think many of you will know that. I know the value of local government and the work that you and your teams do all over this country for our citizens. And I'm delighted to be in a role where I can support you in doing that and supporting change where it's going to be needed. And that's why seminars like this are really important, that we're sharing our knowledge, sharing best practice, and looking to see what we can do differently. And I see it on the ground in my own local authority of Fingal, how things have changed and evolved, and how local government has been a driver for that change, not just in the services we provide directly to our citizens, but also for our SMEs in growing businesses, growing employment, which has been a big new role effectively if you look back 20 years as to where local authorities have come from. It's a real generator of economic activity. So, Michael, I want to really thank you for asking me to address you all. Thank all of you for listening to me. Many of you have heard me before over the last few weeks. To thank Nolene McHugh in particular. I hope you won't mind me saying that, my home local authority of Fingal, who I'm very, very proud of. And I really wish you all, and Chairman, a very interesting seminar today, and look forward to continuing to work with NOAC in the real important role they have. And for all of you guys, could I just say before I conclude, if you could please pass on my personal thanks to all of your teams and your staff who've worked incredibly hard in a really difficult and time for our country and for our society. Who would have thought that we would be dealing as a country with such a threat as this global pandemic is, but how we dealt with it so well, because your teams and you have led from the front on the ground. So thank you very much again for your time and for your attention this morning.